Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today we're going to be doing my March wrap up. Forgot what month it was then. So I'm sorry this is like a tiny bit late into the month. It's like the 10th of April when I'm filming and maybe it'll be going up on the 11th. I might have the days wrong. But anyway, yeah, I'm really excited for this wrap up actually because there are lots of big titles or big releases in this list. So yeah, that's quite exciting to talk about my thoughts on those. And I generally had a pretty good reading month. I read 20 books, which seems like a lot actually because I was quite busy. So I don't know how I read so much really. Oh, one or two are from February actually, just like rolled over. But anyway, and a few were short, but I do like to read. So yeah, so we'll just get started on the wrap up because otherwise I'm going to be rambling on forever. So first of all, I reread Harrow the 9th. Obviously, because I reread Gideon in February for my book club and I just had to continue, and so this is my third time rereading and I just loved it. I adore Harrow as a book. I feel like I thought Gideon out of the two was my favourite. I mean, I love them both like to the moon and back, but I feel like Harrow is actually my favourite. I don't know, I just love it. The kind of whole, there's this kind of almost pantheon of gods type dynamic. And these, I feel like Tanzimura really captures the kind of like insane, jaded, immortal type characters who've been alive for ages and they're just completely crazy. And then Harrow, what a character. She's also completely crazy. And we also have Ayanthe, who's one of my favourites. She's like a hot villain type character. Well, she's not a villain actually, she's just hot. No, but yeah, I love her, and her and Harrow's dynamic is great. And it's told in like a non-linear way as well, and it's, I feel like the first time you read it is you don't know what's going on for like 70% of the book. But actually on reread it's such a masterpiece, and once you sort of know what's going on it just works so well, and the scenes you just enjoy so much, and oh, it's just so good. So yeah, I can't recommend this series enough, and I'm sure I'll be rereading them again before the end of the year because they're just so much fun and I cannot wait for Electo. Oh yeah, okay. Then next I read Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare, and I really like this edition. I don't know. Well, I really wanted the Waterstones edition, but they're sold out. But this one is like the collector's first edition, and it has like character art like throughout, just like interspersed throughout the book. But yeah. So anyway, so this is the second book in the Chain of Last Hours series. The first one being Chain of Gold and the second one Chain of Iron. And we're following the characters who are the descendants of the characters in the Infernal Devices. So like Will, Gem and Tessa and all the other characters like Henry and Charlotte and stuff. So it's just kind of the second generation, and it's set in sort of Edwardian England. And I really love the setting and just the kind of historical like drama, and there's not really a lot of plot. I mean, I do like the plots in these. I mean, like Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron, they're pretty much carbon copy plots of each other, except one it's like a disease which is killing people, and then in this one it's like a murderer killing people. It's kind of like Jack the Ripper type thing. But actually I loved, there's a plot twist towards the end with like who the murderer is, and I really loved that. I don't know why. I was just like so shook, and oh yeah. Like Jessie and Lucy, oh I love them, and I'm so excited to see where they go in the next book. And Cordelia and James, because in this book it's kind of like an arranged marriage situation and the angst is just unparalleled. Oh, I just love it. And Thomas and Alistair, oh yeah. So I am admittedly trash for Shadowhunters, so I did really enjoy this, and I would definitely, if you've read like the Mortal Instruments and you're not a fan, then I would still give like this, the kind of, they're not earlier, they're like books set in the past a chance, because I do think they are her like best books, especially in terms of like characters and angst, and oh, it's just a good time while reading, and it's kind of the reason that I still love reading YA. So yeah, that's that one, and I gave this one 5 stars, obviously. But yeah, so I really enjoyed this, and I think this is probably my favourite of all her series, like The Last Hours at the moment. The Wicked Powers might top it, but at the moment it's The Last Hours, because I just love this group of characters so much. They're like my disaster babies. Then next I read The Burning God. I'm not going actually in the order I read them, I'm just doing all the physical books first for ease of editing. But yeah, so this one is the final book in the Poppy War series. So I don't know how much I can say about the plot without like spoiling the series, but we're following Rin, who in the first book she is like this war orphan who, she's not an orphan, yeah she's an orphan, she's living with like her aunt and uncle. And anyway, she goes to synagogue, which is like this prestigious military academy, and she's sort of gotten into this academy like through her own sort of merit and achieving high in this exam. But she's from quite a poor background, and everyone else in this academy is very kind of elite. And anyway, so the first half of the Poppy War is kind of there, and then it kind of devolves into more of a war. So I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars, which I think I gave the Dragon Republic 5 stars, maybe Poppy War 4.5 stars. I feel like I struggled with this one a little bit, mainly because of Rin. Rin is a really hard character to be in the head of. She's kind of basically a complete like psychopath in this book, and quite unhinged, and she's kind of quite, you know, like when she kills people and she's like gets all these like good feelings, and it's a bit weird. So yeah, I did struggle with that a little bit. It's very sort of kind of military, like battle, like travel to battle, and there's not a lot of sort of, I don't know, because I feel like in the Dragon Republic it was quite military, but I just enjoyed it a bit more. But in this one, I feel like it really started picking up once a character called Sudaji came into the book, and that whole storyline, I adore the storyline with the trifecta, because they're like these powerful kind of, not gods, but they were the kind of previous generation of like powerful people, and they're shamans as well. So Rin's a shaman, so she has like access to she has access to the dragon, but it's basically access to the gods, and that gives people powers. So this like previous generation, and there's 3 of them, and they sort of come back and get involved, and I actually quite liked how their storyline sort of wrapped up. I thought it fit kind of the like, not the tone of the story, but I feel like it was sort of symbolic and also drove Rin's character further. And I did actually really like the ending, especially with Rin and Kitai. I feel like their relationship sort of not exactly being the focus of the ending, but like the very end, and how their like friendship and dynamic and relationship really like shaped events. I don't know, I really enjoyed that. Okay, the character that we get the epilogue POV from, I think was the right sort of choice. That's trying to be vague. So yeah, to have the epilogue POV from, that's all I'll say. But yeah, no, I did think the ending was really good. I think it was just the start of the book I struggled with quite a bit, but no, I enjoyed this, and I think it's a really good series, especially if you like historical fantasy. Yeah, I've just rambled on about that for ages. Okay, then on a slightly lighter note, I read middle grade, so I read Amari and the Night Brothers, and I loved this one. It was so cute, and it doesn't really show up on camera very well, but my edition has these like glittery edges. And in this one we're following Amari, and her brother has kind of gone missing. Some people think he's dead, but like Amari's convinced he's still alive. And one day she like gets a kind of almost like a vision from him, like a kind of dream thing. And she kind of joins this like secret society. I can't remember what this society is called. The Bureau. I looked it up. So she joins this like society called the Bureau, and there they sort of have like roles assigned to them, like rankings. And Amari is discovered to be like a magician. Yeah, and magicians are illegal. So Amari has this power, and like only, I think in history it's only like bad people who've been magicians. And so in that way it's kind of a bit reminiscent of Nevermore, with like Morrigan being a Wondersmith. So it definitely gave me some Nevermore vibes, but I feel like it just kind of combined all elements of other middle grades that I love, and just sort of packaged it in like a new way, and it was still really enjoyable. It's just like everything I love about middle grade. I don't know, like Amari was a great character, and like the friendship groups, and she has this friendship with this character called Dylan, and that was very interesting. And towards the end there was definitely some interesting twists. But yeah, like Amari, and just seeing her like explore the Bureau, and the plot was really good as well. It was kind of fairly like standard for a middle grade like plot, but just like discovering and going on these like magical quests, and I think it was a bit like tournamenty as well, trying to like prove that, trying to like get acceptance into the Bureau. And so I think Amari wants to become like a special investigator, which is what her brother was, so she's like undergoing these tasks to try and get accepted into the special investigators. So that's kind of what it's about. But yeah, it's really enjoyable. If you like middle grade, definitely give it a go. Or if you have like young relatives, then they might like it as well. So yeah, I'd highly recommend this one. Okay, then after that I read Shadow of the Gods by Gwyn, and this is an art copy. That's good like ASMR, I don't know. I love like, ooh. Okay. This is an art copy and it comes out in May, I believe. Sometimes it tells you. Okay, yeah, and I enjoyed this one as well. I gave this one 4 stars, and this is kind of it's like Norse inspired, and I feel like it's kind of almost like the pinnacle of Norse fantasy now. Like, if anyone comes to me for Rex, I'm going to recommend them this. I'm basically following 3 different characters. They're all sort of warrior type characters. One is Orca, and she was a warrior, but now she's sort of retired, like a huntswoman, and she lives with her husband and son. And one day her son sort of gets taken away by these because like kids keep vanishing. So she then sets off like to try and retrieve him and like save him. And then we also have Elva, who is a member of not the Blood Swan, this other band of people, band of like mercenaries. And then also Varg, who joins the Blood Swan, who are another band of like mercenaries. But certain mercenaries may have pure intentions than others, is all I will say. And yeah, I really enjoyed all 3 POVs. I like Varg's one especially. They're like just like the kind of found family, and Varg's like lost his sister, and so now he like has this whole new family, and it's very like but it's pretty brutal, and like a lot of kind of like sometimes shocking things happen. Shocking, I don't know, deaths. Like Gwyn just has a very kind of simplistic way of writing, but it really like packs a punch. Yeah, I really like his writing style. I think it works for the type of books he writes, and his fight scenes are always very good. I think he's like a Viking reenactor or something, and that definitely kind of comes across, especially in the sort of battle scenes. I will say like there are maybe a few too many like battle and action sequences for me, because I tend to prefer like quieter character moments. But I did really enjoy it, and all because the character is great. Like, give me a MILF any day of the week. And I love sort of her like drive to find her son, and I always like those kind of stories. And also the ending, I'm very excited for book 2. Yeah, this is book 1. Very excited for book 2. So yeah, if you like any sort of like Viking, Norse type thing, then I would highly recommend. And also I forgot to mention about the gods. That's a really interesting thing as well. It's kind of set after like Ragnarok. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. So the gods have kind of not quite gone into hiding, but they've sort of disappeared from the world, but now maybe they're creeping back in. So it's quite interesting. Yeah, so that's that one. So I read Not My Problem by Sarah Smith. So this is another early copy, although I think it's a finished copy, but it was sent to me early by the author, which I was very excited for, because her first book, Falling in Love Montage, I absolutely love. It's like one of my favourite kind of rom-coms. And this one was just as much fun. We're following Aiden, and she is kind of her life's a bit of a disaster, but in a similar vein to like Sex Education, the TV show, she starts like fixing other people's problems. I mean, it's not like sexual problems like the TV show, but it's kind of someone has a problem and then Aiden like try and fix it, and in return we'll get a favour from them, and then generally she uses that favour to try and help the next person, like conveniently. But yeah, Aiden is a very interesting character, and her mother is kind of an alcoholic, and they live in quite like a poor situation. Aiden's very afraid of like the social services coming and taking her away from her mother, so she's quite like well, defensive, and also sort of she doesn't want to get any help for her mum because she's worried the kind of consequences this could have, so she's kind of having all that burden placed on herself. That's a very interesting aspect, and the quite like a more deep, like heartbreaking side to the story. But then there's also kind of the funny rom-com side to the story, and it's so funny. I laughed out loud so many times. And Aiden sort of teams up with these other 2 characters. Carvey, who's like this massive, oh, he's so sweet, and like whenever he talks he just can't stop talking, and he's so funny. He's a great character. And also Maeve, I'm not really sure how you say the name. She's quite like standoffish, especially with Aiden, but they sort of start working together and like striking up a friendship and maybe more. So yeah, it's really good, and it's just a lot of fun. So if you like sort of like fun YA with the kind of deeper messages as well, then I definitely highly recommend. Okay, then I read House of... Oh, it's snowing. Then I read House of Always, which, very exciting, is the fourth book in the Rune of Kings series, which I have here, which is one of, I love that series. And I haven't been giving star ratings actually, oops. But I really enjoyed this one. I gave it like 4.75 stars, sort of /5 stars, because I feel like in terms of my like rankings of the Memory of Souls is like top, then it's House of Always, then it's Rune of Kings, then it's Name of All Things. That's like my rankings, and I feel like that reflects, because like Memory of Souls is 5 stars, House of Always 4.75, Rune of Kings 4.5, and then Name of All Things 4. They're like my rankings. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It's just as crazy as like the other books, and I did find the start of this book quite hard. Like the first 10%, it's really like throws you in, and you don't quite know what's going on. Like there's a lot of like POV switching and sort of timeline switching, and I mean that happens a lot in the other books as well, but in this one it's very like, what is going on? I mean, it might have helped if I'd read the other books first, but once it sort of makes sense, it all makes sense, and I actually really like the kind of style it's done in. So yeah, basically all our characters are trapped in this sort of magical lighthouse thing where like time is slowed down, and they're trying to prevent Volcaroth, who is like this demon, from escaping. At the start it's just Kieran and Volcaroth having this like battle of memories to try and prove their points to like defeat the other one. I don't know if that really makes sense. And then everyone starts getting involved. So it's basically just these like 12 characters in the lighthouse. So it's quite like, for like a big fantasy, it's quite contained in that sense, but you do get flashbacks, so it is a bigger scope of the world. And also quite a bit of it is set in like Volcaroth's realm, so it's almost like a hell realm type thing, which is cool. Yeah, and I just really love the characters, and I liked in this one we get to see a lot more of some of the other characters. Like obviously I love Kieran, Janelle and Terieth, but I feel like we don't get as much of them in this book, especially compared to Memory of Souls. But my new favourite characters we do get a lot of, and so Galen, who's Kieran's younger brother, although I'm not sure they're actually brothers, I think Galen's like his nephew or something, but anyway, they're basically brothers because the families are very convoluted. And his wife, oh, what's her name? I can't remember her name, but I love her as well. Their marriage, they really like love each other as friends, but they're both gay, so it's like is it a beard? I don't know, but anyway, so they're kind of, their relationship is really good to read about because they're like such great friends, but also they have like separate love interests as well, which is really cute, and I just love them. And Galen's such a little precious character. He's probably like my new favourite. And Brother Quan, who is in Name of All Things, who I don't really like that much in Name of All Things, but I actually really liked him in this book, and his whole storyline with Galen and Galen's wife, whose name I've forgotten shamefully. I love that. Oh, so they're like my new favourite trio now. Move over Janelle and Kieran and Terieth. But no, Terieth will always be one of my favourite characters. I love him. And Kieran, the little disaster. I really liked all of them. And Serenea as well. She's on the like bad guy side, especially when we first meet her. But we get to see a lot more of her in this book and like her motivations. And I really liked her sort of story as well. So I just really liked all the characters. I feel like this one's a very character focused book, and because it's very much them sort of using their like characters and their memories to try and defeat Volcaroth, and the way it ties together I think is very interesting, with the sort of defeat of him and how that's handled. I really liked. I don't want to say it as a spoiler. I'm excited for the next book in the series. I don't know if the next book's going to be the last book, because I've heard it's a 5-book series, which that'll be kind of sad, but oh well. I'm excited to see how the series ends. Oh, and I forgot as well, there's a Janelle, something's revealed, and oh my god. I'm very excited to see how that pans out, but yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, we'll just contemplate on that for a minute. Okay, so then after that I read In the Ravenous Dark, I think by A.M. Strickland, maybe A.K. Strickland. I always get confused when authors like shorten, when they just have initials. There's so many like AKs and AJs and okay. But anyway, so this one is a sort of quite a dark, like seductive tale, and I enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I feel like I didn't enjoy it maybe quite as much as I was expecting to, but I think it's just kind of, sometimes it felt like there was a little bit missing, or I just didn't quite like connect to the characters, I don't know, as much as I wanted to. But it's really enjoyable, and I feel like the setting is very good, and like the vibes. Following this character whose name I've forgotten, it's been a long time, and she basically like comes to the castle, and in the castle she is she's made to be engaged to the prince, who's quite a nasty character, but she sort of strikes a relationship with the prince's sister. So that's like one side of it, who's, I think she's called Lydia, the prince's sister, and she's a great character. And then she also, because there's like the magic, she gets bound to this like ghost character as her like keeper almost. So like everyone has their like bound ghost who has magic to like prevent them from going crazy or whatever. And then they also sort of strike a relationship. So it's a bit polyamorous, which is cool. Yeah, there's a lot of like underworld stuff, and there's kind of like a mystery like going on with sort of the king and the companion. I think he's Ivorelios. That's the main character's companion's name. Yes, so there's a lot going on, and I would recommend it, especially if you like YA. I just feel like it isn't something, obviously, that's gonna stick with me because I've forgotten everything about it. I do have a more detailed review on Goodreads if you want to read that. But yeah, I feel like the kind of sort of ghost and like creepy type setting vibes are really good. But I almost feel like it could have done with being longer, like part of, especially the scenes in like the court and with the like politics and like Lydia's stories, I thought were very interesting, and I would have liked to be explored a bit more. It felt very sort of surface level, which I guess you maybe feel from reading adult fantasy a lot of the time. I think I hadn't quite switched my brain over. Then I read Blackwater Sister by Zencho, and this was an arc. And this comes out in June, I believe, and this was so much fun. I love Zencho's writing. It's like very humorous. So this one we're following Jess, and she's just moved back to Malaysia with her parents from America, and she starts getting haunted by her grandmother, like the ghost of her grandmother, and her grandmother's trying to like convince her to do all these things, because it turns out her grandmother's been like wrapped up in all this like gangster conspiracy. And sort of Jess ends up involved in this, and involved in like this sort of, not exactly war, but like conflict between gods, and it all really kicks off. So it's really entertaining, and Jess's grandma, I think she's called Arma, is so entertaining. She's such a funny character, and her dynamic with Jess as well is hilarious. So yeah, that's really enjoyable. But then Jess is also kind of struggling. She's like a zillennial, which I guess is like kind of my age. Like, you're not quite a millennial, but you're also not quite Gen Z. She sort of doesn't really know what she wants to do with like her life, and also she's a lesbian, but she hasn't told her parents, and she's worried like how her parents are going to react, and she has this like secret girlfriend, but the fact that she hasn't told her parents like causing a little bit of conflict with like in terms of, and also the like jobs that she's gonna get and like where she's gonna end up. So it's just kind of like mid-20s like struggles, hashtag struggles, yeah, at the same time. So you've got a bit of both, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I just love the whole like spirits and like anything to do with ghosts I always love. So I definitely recommend that one. And the cover's so pretty as well. Both the like US and the UK covers, they just popped off. Then after that I read Ruin Song by Julia somebody. I'm not very good at others' names. And this was fun. I gave this one 3 stars. I listened to the audiobook, and it's kind of this world where you can like sing, and it gives you the singing as like the cause of the magic, and it's sapphic as well. That's all I can really remember. It's quite short, and I feel like again it's one that's quite like almost surface level, but I think I did enjoy it while I was reading it, but I don't think it's something that's really gonna like stick in my mind. Especially like I can't really remember the plot. I should really film these wrap-ups earlier because now I've forgotten everything. Oh dear. Like, I remember the books I liked. But no, I liked it. I just wasn't like blown away or anything. But I guess if you really like music based magic, and I think you would enjoy it. Then after that I read an arc of Fugitive Telemetry by Martha Wells, which is the next Murderbot book. I think it's book 6, which I really enjoyed. This one was just back to a novella. I think I was expecting it to be full-length novel because the book previously, I think Network Effect, is full-length. But no, this one was back to being a novella, and we're back to just like a little murderbot antics and adventure, and this one was really fun. I gave it, what did I give it? 4 stars? Yeah, 4 stars. Yeah, I always enjoy the murderbot novellas. I feel like murderbot as the character just carries the series because it's just, it's so iconic. In this one I did miss Art a little bit, who is the other like AI type character who's kind of a running theme in the series, but it was still really enjoyable even without him. But yeah, oh, Murderbot. I would highly recommend the Murderbot series. I guess there's no really point me talking about the plot because it's the 6th book in a series. In this one we're sort of following like a bit of a murder mystery, which is kind of cool, and I really enjoyed that. And like Murderbot sort of believing in itself, which I feel like is a bit of a theme of the Murderbot books. And like trusting humans a little bit, baby steps. But yeah, no, it was really enjoyable. So I would definitely recommend, if you like the Murderbot series. I don't think it's a disappointing like installment. It was really fun. So yeah. Okay, then after that I read Ashes to the Sun, or Ashes of the Sun. Ashes of the Sun by Jangle Wexler, and I really enjoyed this one. I give it 4.5 stars. It reminded me a lot of Foundry Side. I think if you like Foundry Side, you really like this one. Both the like relationship. So we're following 2 twins, Maya and Gaia, and the prologue is kind of when they're young, and Maya gets taken away to the like Empire, and Gaia sort of is unhappy with this. So then we follow them many years later, and we're following Maya as she's sort of being brought up in this empire as like a kind of magician, like mage assistant. So she has like powers. She is going on a quest with some other characters, one of whom is Beck, who is like this engineer character, and she's so funny. She again reminds me a lot of Berenice, and then Beck and Maya kind of start a relationship, so it's kind of that like, it's sapphic, but also the dynamic just reminds me a lot of Berenice and Sanchia. But no, yeah, I really like the dynamic. It's so cute. And yeah, so they're kind of going to, I think they're going to like a village to investigate some strange like smuggling that's going on. And then we're also following Gaia, and he has like joined this like underground rebellion crew, and he meets this sort of thief character called Kit. And Kit is also another great character. She's like very sort of, I don't know, like Lila Bard from A Dark Shade of Magic is a good comparison maybe, but she's like this thief, and she's very like brash and outspoken, and so yeah, so we're kind of following these 2 like pairs of characters, kind of have like opposing sort of goals, but they're both sort of, you can see the storylines starting to come together, and then they sort of come together and then diverge again and then come together. But yeah, it's really enjoyable. I like the sort of sibling relationship and how that sort of played out. I also really liked both characters. I think I liked Maya and her side of the story a bit more, but I did really enjoy Gaia's side because Kit was a great character, and in a way she reminded me a bit of Denth and Tonkfar from Warbreaker. It's like they kind of never trust a mercenary, and they tell that to you, and then it sort of plays out. Although that's not a spoiler for Ashes of the Sun if you read Warbreaker, because it's not quite the same situation. But it's sort of the same like character type. Yeah, but no, I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend. Then I read The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He, and I really enjoyed this one as well. It's like a dystopian, and it's set in the future where the world is kind of had like climate disaster, and there's like rising sea levels, and it's all going wrong, like crazy weather. And so they've built these like cities in the sky, and in order to get into these cities you have to have like a certain ranking as being like, your eco-friendliness determines your ranking. So like the more eco-friendly you are, the closer to 0 your ranking is. So this is how like society is kind of structured, and we're following these 2 sisters in 2 separate timelines, like 2 dual POVs. So one of them, we're following Ceci, and she's sort of on this abandoned island. She's stranded, and she is trying to escape the island and get back to her sister. So we're following that storyline, and we're also following Kay, who is in the city, and she is like about 3 months after Ceci has disappeared, and she's sort of looking more into Ceci's disappearance, because a lot of people think she's dead, but Kay doesn't quite believe it. And then her storyline sort of becomes also more about saving the like world from the brink of like ecological collapse. So that's very interesting. And again, it's like these two sisters who like do anything to find each other and go to very great lengths, very great lengths in some cases. And yeah, it's a really interesting look at like humanity and the future of humanity, and sort of the lengths people are willing to go to like get there, achieve their goals, I guess. Like the way siblings or sisters can, or like even friends, can like strengthen us and like bring out our best attributes, and then without them there's sort of a bit of struggle. But yeah, no, I'd highly recommend it. And I feel like I think it's YA, and it would definitely be good for YA audiences, but also I feel like it just has that sort of depth that sometimes YA books miss. And yeah, so I really enjoyed it. And the setting is very like Studio Ghibli-esque, and just the sort of, you can imagine the like these cities in the sky and like this beach with like the waves, and I don't know, it's very like atmospheric as well. So yeah, and you also leave it feeling very empowered about like climate change. So yeah, I'd really recommend that one as well. I give that one 4.5 stars. Okay, then another banger. I read Court of Silver Flames, which is the 4th book in the ACOTAR series by Sarah J Maas. And I'm not ashamed to say I enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. Nesta has never been my favourite character, but I actually really liked her in this book, and I actually think I prefer reading from her POV rather than Feyre's POV. I just feel like she's more interesting, and I really like the new characters we got to meet, so Gwyn and Emery, and like their friendship with Nesta, because I feel like that was very needed, because like Nesta's so almost like isolated, and she has her family, but I feel like that's a little bit toxic. So I feel like it was really good to see her get new friends and almost have this new like trio, because in the first book we have like the Archeron sisters, but now I feel like we've got the like Nesta, Gwyn and Emery. So I really hope that the next 2 books, because I think it's like a second trilogy, one's going to be Gwyn's book and one's going to be Emery's book, and Emery's book will have a sapphic relationship with Moore. I may or may not have much fan art of them saved, but no, I really enjoyed this one, and I like Cassian as a character as well, although I did feel like in this book we did slightly not lose Cassian's personality, but I feel like he became a bit of the typical Sarah J Maas love interest, whereas in the previous books he is that, but I feel like he had, because we saw less of him, it almost seemed like he had more like personality. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, but I did like Nesta and Casta's relationship. Nesta and Cassian's relationship, and I like how it developed, especially towards the end. There was a lot of sex scenes and smut, which I don't know, I don't mind them. And poor Stephen Nelson, the audiobook narrator, because she does all the From Blood and Ash audiobooks as well, so she must just be like a pro, and she goes like hard, and it's like you punch. Okay, I'm gonna stop now, but yeah, so anyway, I quite enjoyed that. Like I feel like the ACOTAR world, that was one of my like probably my favourite series before I started like reading like properly. I feel like I just sort of read like Sarah J Maas books like when I was a teenager, and I always loved the ACOTAR series, so it's kind of very nostalgic for me. I feel like being back in that world, and I really like, okay, so I really like the plot, but there wasn't a lot of the plot, and I feel like if the plot had been expanded and been more of the book instead of all the smut, it would have been absolutely amazing, because like the whole storyline with like the dread trove and like these powerful objects and like mastery over death, and it was just really cool, but I feel like we just could have done with a lot more of it. But yeah, no, I did enjoy it, so yeah. And I read Witchmark by C.L. Polk, and this one was really good. The main character is a doctor, which, oh, that was cute, and it's kind of a bit of like, not quite a murder mystery, but sort of a mystery, and I can't remember a lot of what happened. I feel like short audiobooks always just leave my brain for some reason, but I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. I thought the relationship was cute as well. It's set in sort of like it's kind of steampunky, like Victorian England type thing. And yeah, I like the mystery that happened, not that I can remember it. But I definitely recommend, and it's male romance as well, which was cute. And the love interest is like almost an angel, like god type character, which was cool. Yeah, I don't know if I have much more to say about that. My thoughts have abandoned me. I'm sorry, I'm a really bad booktuber, but I enjoy it, so I'm gonna carry on. I also read The Mystery of Black Collar Lane, which is another middle grade, and I gave it 3 stars. I don't know what I was expecting from this one, but I don't think it was quite this. So it is kind of, we're following this character, and her mum's like this famous parenting guru, but because of like one of her mum's jobs or something, she gets sent to boarding school in England, and there they sort of get this group project, and they're like looking into this kind of like building thing, and they discover there's this like order of Black Collar Lane, and so there's kind of that mystery. But I think I was expecting it to be like a bit more maybe spooky or like atmospheric, I don't know, and it wasn't really. It was more of like almost like a contemporary middle grade, where the main character is just like at this boarding school and like making friends, so it was cute in that way. And I think if you're that age, I think you would definitely really enjoy it, or buying it for someone that age. But I feel like as someone older who tends to like fantasy more, I feel like it wasn't quite what I was looking for. Still enjoyable, but yeah, I didn't really get, especially given that the mystery is in the title, I didn't really get the mystery aspect of it that much. I was expecting this like cool like haunted house almost, but it's definitely not that. So just bear that in mind if you're gonna read it. Then I also read the audiobook of Boyfriend Material by Alexis, and this is a romance, and this one was really fun. I laughed out loud so many times. I feel like it's peak British humour, and I feel like it was quite a funny look as well at like posh people culture, because Alex, the main character, some of his like workmates are very posh, and it was so funny, some of their like attitudes. Yeah, so we're following I think his name's Alex. No, I think Alex is the love interest actually. Look is the main character, and he is the son of this like famous rock star who like ran off, he like abandoned him as a kid. So Alex is kind of like semi-famous. No, Look is like semi-famous, and this has kind of caused him a lot of like problems in his life, because like one of his previous boyfriends like sold him out to the tabloids, his story, when he thought they were close, so now he like doesn't trust anyone. But he ends up having to be in this fake relationship with this other character called Oliver. Where did I get Alex from? Anyway, Oliver, and Oliver's like very like straight-laced type character. He's like a lawyer and very like well behaved. So yeah, so they have this like fake relationship for PR, and it's very cute and very like humorous, and yeah, I just had a good time while reading it, which I think is what I like in romance. So yeah, I would recommend if you're looking for a romance book. I think I was listening to the audiobook while I was like rearranging my bookshelves, so that was fun. Good experience all around. Okay, then I read Voyage of the Basilisk, which is the 3rd book in the Lady Trent series, and the first one being A Natural History of Dragons. Oh no, A Lady's Guide to a Natural History. What is it? No, just A Natural History of Dragons. So we're following Lady Trent, who's writing her like memoirs of her adventures like through her life with dragons. And so this one I gave 3.75 stars, which I really enjoyed. This series, it's a lot of fun, and Lady Trent is like a great narrator. In this one they're going on like a voyage around the world, which was kind of cool. I also really liked Isabel, who is Lady Trent, her like relationship with her son in this book, because her son's about like 10 or 11, and so it's really cute, and like seeing him, because he like joins them on this journey, and that I really like that aspect of the book. And yeah, just like seeing the different areas of the world was cool. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't like, it didn't like blow my mind or anything, but I feel like it's just a fun like adventure story type thing. Then I read The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water by Sencho also, and I gave this one 3 stars. I feel like this one was just a bit too short for me to like form any sort of opinion on it. I don't know, I feel like I need to reread it and re-listen to the audiobook to get a bit more of a sense of my thoughts on it, because I feel like it just happened so fast that I didn't really clock it. But yeah, so I don't have a lot of thoughts on that one actually, but maybe it'll pop up in my April wrap up. I know it's like wuxia inspired, and it was definitely like quite fun in tone. And we're following this like character who is a like a nun of the pure moon, no, the pure moon, the Order of the Pure Moon, and she like joins this gang of like bandits and they go on a little like adventure. Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. And then finally I read Robber Gill, which I gave 4 stars, and this is by S.T. Gibson, who's the author of A Diary of Blood, which I didn't know until I like saw it and realised. But yeah, this one was really fun. It's a retelling of the Snow Queen, I believe. The like plot was quite similar to The Raven and the Reindeer, which I read in like December. And I think they're inspired by like the same story, so that makes sense, obviously. And it's another sapphic retelling. But no, this one was really cute and really fun. And I like the sort of like, I think it's set in Sweden, so the kind of Scandinavian setting was really cool. The main character Helvig is like the daughter of the sort of robber king. And one day they find this witch called Gerda, and Helvig like convinces her dad to like let her kind of keep Gerda like as a friend, basically, not as a prisoner. But Gerda is like on the hunt or she's looking for her brother who went missing, and he's been like kidnapped by this mysterious Snow Queen. So that's sort of what's going on. Yeah, I really like the setting and the like relationship. I thought that was really cute as well. And the whole like snowy vibes, I don't know, I just really like that. So yeah, that was enjoyable. And I feel like I'm trying to be a bit speedier, even though this is 50 minutes already. Oh dear. But I hope you enjoyed this wrap up, and definitely let me know in the comments what your favourite book you read in March was, and also if you're interested in reading any of these books that I've mentioned. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope you're all having a great day, and I will see you next time.